Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on the 2000 film My Dog Skip. Now, My Dog Skip is a 2000 comedy drama film that was directed by Jay Russell, as well as being based on the autobiography of the same name. Now, the story is meant to feature Willie Morris, who basically lives with his parents in the early 1940s. We kind of see how it's meant to be the point of World War II. We kind of see how the dad's a bit more cold and distant, and we kind of see how he's meant to be a Spanish Civil War veteran, and you can kind of tell is meant to be cold and distant, and you can tell the mum Elaine does try to keep the family together and still tries to be more fun-loving and happy-go-lucky. We do kind of see how Willie is given a Jack Russell Terrier known as Skip. You can tell at first the father is a little hesitant and is just afraid of him of growing to bond with the dog. But after Elaine's suggestions, we do kind of see how Skip and Willie do become inseparable. And I think it's kind of a relatable thing because the point about having a pet, it strengthens your settlement, and you get to kind of bond and understand your pet. And throughout the movie, we do kind of see how Skip and Willie go on all sorts of misadventures, at the same time earning the local Willie's respect, getting the girl, and of course, kind of having people amazed and proud of Skip. We kind of see how a certain incident leaves Willie and Skip's friendship in tatters, and it's up to Willie to kind of fix things quickly before any necessary problems kick in. And I think the movie really does hit the emotional levels because I think when the film does take itself seriously, it knows what to do. I think when you've got the sort of star athlete Dink, you can tell he's quick to go into World War II. We see how when he does come back, he slowly is a shell of his former self. But we see over time him coming out of the shadows and kind of going back to being kind of his old self. And I think at the same time, the film really isn't afraid to hold down the racism card. We do kind of see how, there's segregation. We do kind of see how Willie does kind of befriend one of the black kids and getting to know his own version of Dink. And I think the film really does hit emotional levels because I feel like when you've kind of got moments with Skip, it does feel close to home, as you had that pet that you always cared about, or just grew with. And I think the final moments near the end really does hit the emotional levels. And I think the point about making a movie, you always want to have an emotional scene and something that makes you want to cry or understand what the film is meant to be. I think when you've got Superman with Jor-El's speech, not only is it a final passage, but it's also a moment where Jor-El is saying goodbye to his son. I think when you've got Hook, when Peter remembers his childhood and the reason why he wanted to become a parent, or I think it's like looking at the Iron Giant, as the point of the Iron Giant was meant to learn the values of human life and didn't want to be a gun. And I think it's also looking at, when you kind of look at, The Green Mile, as we do kind of see how Tom Hanks' character is much older, and him knowing his days will eventually come. And I do think when you've got the narrator at the start being voiced by Harry Connick Jr., who also did the voice of Dean in the Iron Giant, you can tell he sounds like this guy who's broken and meant to be the much older Willie. I think his voice works because You can tell they really wanted to hit the emotional levels high. And I think when Harry Connick Jr. plays in a kind of emotional movie, he really knows how to kind of hit the emotional levels. And I think, to me, My Dog Skip is definitely going to be a tearjerker, and a moment where, yeah, we do feel sympathetic, and we do bond with friends, pets, and everything else, but it's the settlement, as well as the connections we make with those we care about. So I think this movie definitely deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.